so we're going to start building up our sand upon here. So, while I was off camera, you probably won't be able to see it until later, but I took basically some plastic card, I cut some nice strips, and kind of set it up around the edges around here. So what I'm going to use those edges for is to kind of build up the sand edges here along the bases of my first two yeomen. And the reason for that is I'm representing the bases as kind of like the broken sand pieces of basically as rubble. So once I have that build-up done, and I'm going to probably take the bases and I'm going to kind of try to match it as best to this guy as possible. Either that, or either the best to this, or maybe I'll make it as something else. Perhaps it was part of some bases, perhaps, that went to this temple. But we'll see how it comes out once I get it all set up. So I'm going to do a combination here of some decoupage, just simple cheapo decoupage, and of course my army basing, my army painter basing glue. So we're going to start with that and go from there. So here we go, guys. Yeah, but this is what I was talking about. So I kind of did the... Here we go. So again, it's the plastic card, and I kind of cut it into these smaller strips that got to fit around the edges a little bit. Now, I wasn't looking for a perfect fit. What I was looking for was at least enough to kind of help build up the edges here. Now, it's going to take a couple layers for sure to get this correct, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with doing that. Because the idea is that I'm going to build up the edges here, and then once the edges have set up and good to go, that I'll be able to put these back inside, and essentially, it'll look like it was meant to be part of the whole scenery once it's inside. Now, these are going to be functional miniatures that I'm going to use in games and things of that nature. That's kind of the idea and the hope here. Just kind of like I did with the Inquisition Kill Team display diorama. So that was the idea. So pressing forward, I gotta try to move some things out of the way so I can keep building up here. Now, I gotta let this set up a little bit. Now, I'm not gonna mind too much on some of the base around this. like on the actual bases themselves, because it's going to add at least to that. Plus, it's not glued on, so it'll all come kind of knocking off once I kind of have it set the way I want. So... So, while I'm letting that rest, I'm going to have the heater kind of blowing into it to try to help with the glue setting up here. So, I do have gaps along here, which will probably get filled up along the way, which might actually help this fit a little better, but we'll see how that goes. If I need to remove a little bit, I got to remove a little bit. It's not going to be the end of the world. Now, this is where the decoupage comes in. At least to start. That's what I'm going to start my base layer with. At least around the areas where I'm not going to have my models, because I want the models to get this glazing and get sanding as well. So that way they can have the sand on top of that and basically kind of blend in with basically blend in with the scenery within. So that's kind of the idea. Now, the areas where my building will be setting, where my building will be setting is a whole nother story. This is another reason why I marked up the areas where my building would set. So, this is the areas I'm planning for like higher raises of sand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start at the base. It'll probably be, I'm gonna basically right here. So I have my marking points. I know where I'm going to go, and that's where I'm going to pretty much start spreading out my decoupage, and in turn start spreading my sand. So I'm also going to be able to at least reach into this general vicinity here, which is the whole thing. And maybe if some of this is, if this glue has set up well enough with the heater blowing on it, I can use it to start spreading some of that sand this way, and I'd be able to utilize. So let's see how that turns out. Now, what's going to be fun here is if I get this sealed, I can build on the layers. That's what I'm hoping to accomplish here. So, the only other thing I can do to kind of build up some of the layers is leave the high points where I'd like to have them, and maybe that's all I'd need, is that at least for the base, for the lower section here, the floor base essentially, is to leave it, there we go, To give you an idea, so you can see where that sand cuts off right there. Let's see. So it's not too bad looking right now. So we'll see how this goes out. I'm gonna keep going here, but I think now I might be able to. Let's see if I can pull this guy out. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, I still have some glue here along the edge. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna coat the remainder. Coat the remainder. I might just leave that as is, and I might just add some paint to that, just to see how that turns out. So let's leave that right there. Let's see how this one came out. Yeah, came out pretty clean for the most part. Got a few pieces on here, but again, I'll live. So I'm just gonna set these aside. Set you there like that. All right. Well, I'm just gonna keep layering on my decoupage, kind of start spreading this out a little bit. I'm also gonna start doing it on the bases of these guys too, just so that way, once I pour the sand on here, I can kind of spread it through, and that way these guys can start getting some of the sanding in here too, to start blending in here. This is what I'm hoping to achieve, is a blending, to kind of make it all look together. So we're gonna keep going. That's a start. It's a pretty good one. Pretty good start. Now, I'm going to let this obviously set up I still got to get a little bit on the back. Whoop. Obviously, I still got to get a little bit on the back yet. That's going to be the idea. And I still have one more little guy, one more model to do. One more little miniature to do. So, but as you can see, a lot of the sandstone, or at least the marks that I had to start with, are now a little more buried into, at least, to look like the real thing. So, as I said, I still got to get to the back side of this. So, I think that's what I'm going to do next here, and then basically going to end the video, in this segment, at least, as the beginning. This is basically going to be me, this next segment of video, guys, is basically going to be me getting this together and setting it up. I have some other tidbits coming in to basically work on something a little special for this one. So that should be coming in the mail sometime over this weekend. I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait for it to arrive. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this last little bit up here. And I'm going to end the segment pretty much here. So, stick with me just a little bit longer. And I will show you guys at least the result of the first set of the progress. So, here we go. Well, that's the beginning, for sure. Keeping in mind for this, guys, currently right now in this garage, it's probably less than 30 degrees out here. So, even with the heater running, it's not exactly heating up the entire garage. It's at least heating up in the general vicinity for my purposes. So, either way, I'll at least show you guys the beginnings of what this thing is looking like with the sand on it right now. So it's getting there. I still got to work on some areas here, which I might just worry about it when it comes paint, perhaps. I mean, we'll see. We'll kind of see here. Yeah, I mean, at minimum. There we go. There we go. I think I'm going to leave these at least out of the facilitate, out of the areas for now. But I'll at least, yeah, I gotta finish getting some of this looser sand out of here. It's taking up my space. Yeah, see, this is why that magic trick of the magnetics comes in handy. When you're kind of trying to set this up to be as close to realistic as you possibly can. So, it does come in handy in that aspect. But yes, I can just worry about painting the tip tops of this later on down the road. And at least I have enough sand layer on here as a good foundation. There will be a few spots, like I said, I want to get a buildup kind of around this corner a little bit, kind of like you would find on a windswept beach, where, you know, the sand would build up against a wall, but the excess would kind of blow off on the way, and it kind of makes that natural dune as it's wheeling away around a corner in the long term. So I'm gonna finish cleaning up here, and I'll at least get a view, give you guys a view of what this is looking like in the current state of things. So yeah, just give me a few, and we'll get that squared away, all right? Okay. Hey guys. So as you can see, I have this disassembled at the moment, and there's a reason. I actually had things come into the mail today, so I can do my little extra piece that I'm planning for underneath. So just like I did with the Inquisition Kill Team display that I did in the last series, I'm doing something like that here. However, not just on top, but I'm also doing something underneath also. I got some things that came in, so I can add it to, it's going to be a scenery underneath here with the dice box in the front of this. So before I started filming, I kind of started dissecting this. I kind of started doing my setup here to try to level this a little bit. It's a little bit goofy. Now, it's still going to be a little goofy, but the reason why I'm leveling this off is because I'm going to be putting magnets into the box underneath and the actual display itself. And I have plenty of magnets to do it. I hope. I'm hoping to at least get away with one, if I can get 2 points, 3 points here, if I can do 2 points here, and then maybe another 2 points here. So that way this will hold on. However, it's going to be carried by the box, but it'll hopefully hold on that I can set it down and it won't just be like, "Bleh," as everything falls apart. And I can just lift the box off, lift the display off, and it will show the scenery with the little dice tray within. So that is the hope and the plan right now. So I've kind of been shaving a little bit underneath. It's kind of jacked up a little bit, but I'm going to be able to hopefully shave some of these weird corners down and stuff like that. And I've also added a little bit of classic craft stick to the points where I was sitting highest. So we'll see how this goes. And I'm also going to cut open this section of the box to make sure you're able to see within. So I'm gonna do a little shaving here and go from there. One other little side note here as I'm doing this work here. Basically, we were in a cold snap out here in the state of Michigan. So it was, and of course the heater that was in the garage, my grandparents had to borrow. So, yeah, so it's going to be a huge discrepancy. So there's been a slight warm up. Basically at the time of recording, it's still about 26, 28 degrees in the garage. So yeah, it's not exactly pleasant. There we go. That'll do. I can adjust this accordingly later. Okay. Woo! Okay. I can adjust accordingly later. So, here we are. So, little door cut out here. And actually, I might be able to repurpose this said piece. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So, what I'm hoping to do is be able to repurpose this into a wall section. I can, and luckily, I think a couple of the, oh yeah, I can fill in the gap easily with some craft sticks too, one way or the other. So I'm going to give you guys, like I said, I'm going to test fit a few of these, just kind of keep testing and fitting while I'm doing, so I can see how this will look by the end. So, and it's always good to double check. So, and another thing I'm going to do, post one. I'm going to mark my little craft sticks accordingly to know which location each will end on, is the idea. And when I go to set these on, I will not confuse them and ergo be able to keep everything as sturdy as I can. Oop. Move that forward. There we go. There we go. That's better. Okay. Okay. So I'm happy with that. Oh. And we're back. Okay. Let's try that again, shall we? Oh, yeah. There we go. Better. Much better. Okay. Let's see here. Yep. So I can at least get 2 points of contact. 1 point of contact. 2 here. Hopefully 2 up here. And that'll at least have that. Now, with that being said, pencil. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is mark my locations for the wall piece. So you just, hang on, let me see. There we go. Let me aim you down a little. There we go. Better. So as you can see, lining it up against the wall here, this is actually a pretty good dice storage here. It's not bad at all. Now, I'm sure you noticed that when I have it on, there is a little bit of overhang here. So probably what I'm going to do is once I get this set up into position, these are all nice and firm, I'll cut off at least the excess here. That's just a bit. I think it's only sticking out a hair. So I'm going to mark that off so I know exactly where I need to keep it off. Oh yeah, just that tiny little overhang right there. Perfect. So I just nail this piece off, and then I get this thing all magnetized up and set. Once I get that, then I'll just get a nice little cover piece that can go probably underneath this actually, and it'll actually help set even more level, which will be really good. Yes, there's going to be a slight overhang over here, but I might be able to do something with that because there's something I want to try and use to move forward with when I start, when I plan for my first larger project, not the game board project. I do have that in mind. I'm still planning. I have things I'm slowly putting together as far as what materials I need and pieces I need. I have that coming. Actually, not coming. I've been kind of collecting that over the last probably now almost 2 years. Almost 2 years now. So I have all that going. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and continue forward. I'm going to mark stuff off. And hopefully you guys will see at least the completed box as far as setup goes. And then, of course, I will show you the next pieces to this box. And the box will be at least set aside for now. And I'll be able to get back to actually finishing. I'll be able to come back and I will get more layering done as far as the sand goes, to build it up a little bit, make it look nice. Once I have this completed, then it'll be the box. Yes. Almost sounds like Jim Carrey out of Batman Forever. The box! Yes, I'm old. So, anyway, let's keep going. Okay. So we're gonna let this super glue kind of set up a little bit with the wood here. Once that's set up, I know some of you guys will be like, use wood glue. Well, sorry, I didn't buy wood glue. I'm an idiot. But I have something else I intend to do. And that will be, I do have some very short screws, tiny, tiny ones. And basically, I'm going to screw it down if I need to. I mean, hopefully I don't. I mean, this is pretty solid right now with just the wedged pieces in here. So I might just leave it at that. So now, to the pieces I was discussing. So this, I have a centerpiece and I have a few outliers that I'm going to use. So here's what's cool. The outliers I'm going to use, first ones are some treasure chests. Now with Trench Crusade, there is ducats that's used. So this is going to be the ducat cache. And I was explaining, as I was saying before, these guys are kind of using these as bunkers, and the bunkers, they use them to store their stashes, and they will protect them if they absolutely need to. So that's what I'm using here. Got these already pre-painted. I bought these pre-painted, so it's like it's silver, and they're silver browns. There's the nice, real, like, kind of royalty one. It's a nice little red sort of color. Those are going to be scattered in here, just probably scattered, or at least arranged, maybe scattered. It depends here, but that's one thing. That's one thing I'm using in the little scenery I'm setting. Another one I got, which I thought would be really kind of cool too. I got myself what they're called D&D library. So it's for like a D&D game board setup. So I have, they came short and tall with their own kind of things within. And of course, it's a lot of scrolls and books. And of course, what's really neat is that some of this does have like Egyptian looks to it. It's kind of a medieval style. So these guys are going to go around the wall area here. And the idea is that this is also not just to store, or they stash their supplies and the backup funds, so to speak, but also where they collect intel. They have intel and ancient knowledge that perhaps they have been stowing away within this place. And a couple of the empty ones that they haven't been filled yet, or they've already been raided and taken by, an enemy group or something along that line, or even themselves, perhaps. But those are going to be in here. So I'm going to start with those. And I'm going to make sure, I think I got the right idea here. Yes. Okay. So, yep. Because I want to keep it away from, essentially what I'm building is a staircase, or at least maybe a drop area, but I'm hoping I can do it as a staircase. I could do it as a staircase. But, so, yep. So, I'm going to mark what I need here so I know where the entrance lies. Okay, so this is my entrance. There, put E for entrance so I know where I'm going. So yes, so the idea will be they're going to be up against the wall here in a few places. So it's going to be in the next, and I'm going to have some tall ones on the back side here. So it's going to be one of the filled ones with an empty, and then one of the filled ones. Then the chests. So yeah, the chests I'm doing kind of along here. Like probably the two more insignificant ones, like the part of the regular ones that they put them themselves. I have the last one piece I have here is my centerpiece. I have found a beautifully 3D rendered sarcophagus. I think this is absolutely amazing, and it's absolutely gorgeous. The detail on this is really, really good. So that's going to be the centerpiece of this little scene here, right there. And like I said, this one kind of looks more like a royalty one. So I was thinking I was going to set it maybe on an angle of sorts here. Now, what's really neat about the setup on this is that height-wise, believe it or not, it's not too far off with what they would be working with here. So I'm going to bring you, I can bring you down here. Hold on. You're going to go for a ride and blinded. Oh no, for a ride. Yes, so here we go. So as you can see, this is kind of what we're going with. Let me see if I can pick this up real gently. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. So you see, they're a little, it's like the sarcophagus and everything. It's the right height for what I'm looking for. That'd be absolutely perfect if the arms weren't flailing in the air and all that kind of stuff. But all in all, this is going to be the idea of the look. So let me bring you. Yeah, I mean, even if I put one of these heavy guys who is supposed to standing pretty tall, I mean, you can tell it's not too far off. It's actually not bad size whatsoever for the value I got here. Basically, I think I paid, let's see, for the sarcophagus. Yeah, there was the sarcophagus, the library shelves, and the chest. I only spent $20. I did get something else which pushed it up to like 30, but that is for another game board down the road. So that might be another little miniature game board that I can use as another way to build myself up to the larger one. So, but anyway, oops, sorry, you went for, sorry. Yeah, it's just a phone and me and a one-man show. So anyway, but this is going to be the idea. I'm going to be marking the places for these. And essentially, the good news is I'm going to be marking the places for these accordingly. And yeah, we'll see how that goes, guys. For at least working towards magnetization of the stuff here. Okay, well, with that set, I unfortunately don't have enough of the big ones. But I might be able to do something. Kind of a bummer when you don't have enough. However, I gotta make sure that at least these will sit in their place. The magnets, anyway. So my hope is that after the base glue dries upon them, I might be able to do something more if I need to. But hopefully I don't. Hopefully I don't need to. But if these do come out, at least they will come out facing the correct direction. But I'm hoping that I was able to do what I needed to do for these. So, there's only one other thing I can do. I have the tinier ones here, but I've already got my holes drilled and placed. But these ones are just as powerful as the others. But, I mean, we'll see. So, we'll see how it goes. Or, actually, I have another thought. I have another thought that just occurred to me. This would be much easier to do, because it'll also guarantee that these will hit the magnet bases that I'm hoping for. So let's go ahead and get these prepared accordingly. gives you an idea how strong these are. That literally, even relatively close to each other, they literally glue themselves. Well, not glue. They literally shoot into themselves. Now, let's make sure I have that well done. That well done. Okay. Okay. Now, if you can see what's going on, the idea now is that I took the staples, I have glued them, I gotta let everything dry first, and then I took the magnets I had originally planned into here. Now, my hope with them actually sunk in, which is exactly what these were able to do, I was able to push them down. Which in turn, because everything's already wonky to begin with, and why I had these raised up also, that once I have these on, this will actually still sit and still look snug and balanced. That is the hope that I have right now. But I gotta let everything dry. So, but I'm glad I at least got to show you guys at least the plan for what I'm planning, for what's going to happen going forward. So once I have this situated, the next thing you're going to see is me continuing to work on the top of this thing. And that's the biggest thing I'm hoping to accomplish. So if I can get this all set up, then it'll be the bottom of it. And, yeah. And, from there, well, keep moving forward. So stick around for the next one. Stick around for the next one, guys, and bear with me. It's all been a learning process, and it's all been kind of like I have the ideas in my head, and then basically on the fly changes as I need to. So either way, stick with me, guys. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the likes, the comments, subscriptions, the sharing. Appreciate it all, and catch you on the next one.